Good evening. I'm just going to mute the volume. I think I'm doing a test on YouTube at the moment. I think everything's okay. YouTube is definitely live and the chat is definitely working. I've messed around with it and everything should be okay in YouTube. Welcome to Virtual Pool 4 Online. We're here for yet another first round match in this year's 10 Ball Masters Championship, and it's another one where two of the big guns are matched up together, and in about 10 minutes time we've got the match between Keith from Northern Ireland and Semipro. And of course, if you look at Keith, well, he's the multiple champion in Virtual Pool, and his most recent one was the 9 Ball Masters, which was last month, which he won out against Cobra after being behind for most of the match. Cobra we'll mention him again in a minute. Semipro, of course, is a current champion. I think it was a straight pool championship he won, and so we've got the firepower, we've got the talent and the ability, and we're expecting a good match. And so, well, provided everything's set up okay, we should be live on Twitch, YouTube and Facebook, and everything has been tested, and I'm definitely streaming live to Twitch. I'll say that again, to YouTube, and I have also tested the chat, and the chat is working. So anybody who joins can either join on any of the 3 channels and we will be good to go. So Cobra, I mentioned, Cobra is lined up against Bedhead, who is another player with all the potential. Cobra, of course, having lost in that final against Keith in the 9 Ball Masters. Bedhead is yet to get that far. He has all the potential and ability to do so, but he's just fallen short, and that match is scheduled for Saturday, I believe, and I will be there for that one. So it's going to be hard to call this one. It's 10 ball, it's a lag for break, there are no jump cues, and all banks and combos should be called, and that's about pretty much it, I would think. So we're just waiting on some company arriving. Don't see anybody in the chat. There's certainly nobody saying anything on YouTube, although I think I've got 2 viewers, myself included. I've just got it up on my second monitor just to check everything's okay, and everything definitely is okay. So we just wait to go. Yep, that's definitely working. And I knew it was working because I sat here testing it for a little while, so we've definitely got it established and working. And the reason it's working, I'll tell you, is because I'm using the old YouTube Creator Studio, and the chat is working. Now, the new Creator Studio that they want us to switch over to, it works as far as the stream goes, but the chat didn't work, and I think that's a restream and YouTube issue. So YouTube say that they're eventually going to get rid of this one that I'm using, the old Creator Studio for live streaming, and once that goes, I'll be back to the same problem with the chat unless they fix the damn thing or restream fix it, one of the two. It's definitely not anything I'm doing wrong. It was streaming perfectly okay last night, and for some strange reason, anybody who typed anything in the chat, none was coming through. But it's definitely going to come through tonight, I know that, and Twitch will be fine. It's always fine, as is Facebook. Well, it's still about 5 minutes to go, and we've got a bit of falling out here in the chat. A guy turns up in the room, two guys are playing, the two guys have obviously decided they're going to go get their dinner. They leave the room and leave the guy. they leave the guy and disappear. Well, at least the right thing to do is say, listen, if you're waiting in a match, the two of us are heading for dinner. That's a sort of standard thing you would do. Let's have a quick look at this bracket. This is the match that we're waiting on between Keith and Semipro, and this is the match that we're waiting on Saturday, and that is going to be at 2 PM, and again, fortunately I finish on Saturday at noon, and I'll be home in plenty of time for that match. So that's a big one that we've got lined up. I think there's another match tonight. Where is it? I think there's one at the bottom here. Is it Christian or somebody? I think there's a match scheduled for 8 PM between Christian and Niederrad, and I think that is it. But there's this big match and then the one at the weekend, which we should have. What else have we got? I think that is it. Double checking it. Good evening, welcome to anybody that's arrived. Oh yeah, I forgot. There's the match later on tonight between Moz and Legit Matthew, which is due to start at 11 PM. No, I think the problem wasn't a rage quit. The problem was that this guy Balls has arrived in a room, and the two guys that were in there playing had decided that at the end of their rack they were going to leave the room. Now the guy Balls had been in the room, as he says, for 5 minutes, but none of the two guys that were in the room had the common sense to say, listen my friend, the two of us are finishing, we're leaving. They just left and left the poor guy hanging. Well, that's good. YouTube chat working, Twitch working. Stubble usually drop in on Facebook. He'll appear at some time. Yes, Jose, we've got the match between Keith and Semipro, which is going to start in about a minute and a half's time. That's going to be a match worth watching, even if you don't understand a word I'm saying. It's definitely going to be worth waiting to see it. And I would reckon we'll get a few more people dropping in once they get wind of this match going ahead. It was a bit in doubt. Keith's had problems with his computer in the last tournament. He's now got a problem with his monitor. But no matter what problems he's had, he's found a way around it. And he certainly did that in the last, well, not the last tournament because that was a snooker one, but the last one that he played in. Oh, Stubbs woke up, but he's in the lobby. Well, that's stating the obvious. One of you got to lose. that is a true statement that he said there. One has got to lose. There's no doubt about that. Well, we had the match last night between Spectre Dawn and Wink at Me, and well, it was a close match, if not spectacular. But Wink at Me, I thought, sort of lost the plot late on in the match with a couple of strange shot choices, where he just seemed to be, I don't know what he was thinking. Whatever he was planning, it did not work out, and he sold himself down the river at the end of that match. I thought it was going to go all the way. I had the feeling early on in the match it was going to, but I think, well, what did it end up? Was it 14-12 to Spectre Dawn? It could have been a final rack decider, but in those last 2 or 3 racks, Wink at Me just baffled me as to how he was thinking, and he's going to have to battle on the one loss side now, and Spectre Dawn is going to have to warm up as well. It's too early to say who's playing the best in this tournament. The problem with it being 10 ball, the table doesn't always lie good for you with 10 ball, and of course with no slop you can't get away with your flukes in this game. They all have to go in legally, and they all have to be called, all the non-obvious shots. Right, so we are on the hour, the room is up, the 2 players will be started. I'm too busy waffling away here, but we are ready to go. Semipro has won the lag, and I haven't changed the cloth. Hang on a minute. Good evening, welcome. Where's the bloody thing again? Hang on. 2 ball goes. Now, this is a problem to get on the 3. The reason is he would want to normally just pot the 2 and brush through for the 3 ball, but this could end up ugly. Yeah, that was always the problem with that 10 ball. Yes, Keith's name is a license plate off a motorbike, but rather than trying to make some sort of pronunciation of a license plate, his name is Keith, and that's how he will be known forevermore. But he's played a good safety, and welcome everybody. This is well, hopefully the first match tonight, because after this I'm going to go and get my dinner. I haven't had, well, I had something to eat earlier on, but I haven't actually had my dinner yet, so that's the plan after this. And then Moz is up late on tonight, UK time, at 11 PM. I'm assuming his opponent's going to turn up, although I haven't seen him around an awful lot. Well, I think both players finally agreed a time and a day that was going to suit them. Now, what are you doing on YouTube, Stub? Just to prove it's working? Because it's definitely working. And I can see there are 7 viewers, well 6 on it including myself, on YouTube. I know that because I've got it on for testing purposes. So, first rack to Keith. Of course it's winner breaks as well. 7 ball thought beginning, 3 ball thought a bit more, but neither of them have gone. So the 1-3 combo to start Semipro off. Now he might want to try and see if he can chip at this 4 if he can. I don't know whether he's got a good enough angle to do it, but first chance you get, it might be worth having a little go. I think he's maybe got too much of an angle. He might just come off the rail and straight out for the 3. Yeah. Well, for the 1 in this case, having knocked a 3 in. So that is the problem right there. This setup here is going to be the issue, is how to break out that 4 ball. And Semipro has overcut the 1, but he's got away with it. I haven't a clue. I mean, I'll tell you something, sometimes the best policy in 10 ball is whenever a rack finishes, the cue ball gets replaced in the kitchen, and I just hit the ball from there. If ever I play 10 ball, I just hit it with a bit of top to try and kill the cue ball when it hits the pack, and then just hope for the best, because I don't think there's anywhere. And I think the other problem is 10 ball, you don't always, I mean, because there's extra balls and because it's the triangle of balls, you would think there's more likelihood of balls going in, but we've found out that's not the case. And then of course, I don't think enough players change their break often enough. You know, they keep banging away in the same place and they're not getting any joy, but they don't think to actually decide to, you know, just try something different. But we'll see how things go. 4 ball still locked up. 3 ball combo in a 7. 1, 2 and 7 ball. Oh, well, he called the 7, but he tried the billiard. Now, I was talking about breaking out that 4. There must have been a little nudge there that I missed, because the 4 doesn't need touch. Now, there must have been a little hit on it that I missed while I was reading the chat. Welcome to all the latecomers. We're all up and running. Everything's working. YouTube working, chat's working, Twitch working, Facebook working. We're all good, thank God. Yeah, I explained how I got it working, but it's a long story. You'll have to re-watch the stream once it's finished, so that you find out my explanation. Yeah, I can see it. Well, it shows 7 on my screen. Somebody's got bored already and gone home. So Semipro trailing 1-0 and looking to run out. Of course, there is still a problem with that 8 ball. The 8 ball is guarded by the 10, so there's a limited area to get onto that 8, but Semipro has got the perfect position just to roll through, and he has to roll through to the rail really to get the good cut on this 8 ball. He has to be there for this shot. Is he going to get there? I think he's okay. Yeah, plenty of room. Well, I've got no work tomorrow, so I intend to stream it, provided this guy that you're supposed to be playing turns up. I'm hedging my bets he won't. I think he's one of these guys that signs up out of excitement because he sees there's 40 odd people signed up, and then he you know, he thinks better of it. That's my bet, so I reckon I'll get to bed fairly early. So Semipro has got the rack in the board. Well, Semipro breaking from the left. keep your eye on the rack to see how much twist there is on the rack. Well, the brake is dry, and I think that Keith can see enough of the one. Yep. Now these instances here, this is where players of this quality come into the table after your opponent's just had a dry brake. They've got all the ability to run out this table. Now this shot here by Keith, he could just stun down the table, but he thinks there's a gap there again. Yes, he's got it. It just squeezes past the 7, plenty of room there. But this sort of punishment is what players of Keith's quality is expecting to do. I'm expecting him to do it, because there's no reason he shouldn't. It's all about just manoeuvring the cue ball. Join the dots, everything's got a pocket. And these are the ones that hurt, because you've broke off, you broke dry, the balls have opened nicely, and you know that your opponent is well capable of running out. But there's the mistake, holding for the 6 ball. So that's the first unforced error, with a great chance to pinch that rack. And Semi-Pro, well, getting a second chance that he didn't think he was going to get, he has to take it out. Well, needs to get some sort of angle on this 8 ball. It's vital, because he needs to get across and get good on the 9. No use leaving big high cuts or something like that. Well, that angle he's got there will do nicely. He can risk stunning this in, or he can just roll through and leave it long. That's the safest shot. You start stunning things in these pockets, we've seen it often enough, they don't go as soon as they're rattling those jaws. Now this is a wee bit tricky. We were talking about your opponent. Well, I haven't seen him in many tournaments, and that's why whenever I see players where I don't see them in many tournaments, then I have my doubts that he will actually show. See, this is a little tester. Now, does he run it into the middle, or does he take it long? Well, he's chosen the middle, so far jaw and let it drop in with a dead weight pace. So Semi-Pro has got out of jail there with that error by Keith, but now has the lead, 2 racks to 1. And Barker's has arrived. I don't know whether Barker's has ever been on my streams. Yeah. Somebody tell him to get online and get in. Get into Twitch or get into YouTube. Join in the chat. Of course, Barker's, for anybody that doesn't know, is the current Virtual World Snooker Championship. I'll say that again. Virtual World Snooker Champion. Having won that the other week there against Moz. Good evening. We've got people coming in out the woodwork. We've got one on Facebook. Welcome aboard. Now, of course, with Semi-Pro having that 1 rack lead, is he going to be able to open that gap just to increase the pressure a wee bit? How many's in the room? So that's 3 viewers in the room. Semi can see part of the three. Can he? I think he can see enough to pot this. Let's have a quick shifty, then maybe not when you see it from that angle. He's gone for the cut down into the corner. It was a brave shot. It was all out, but it's going to be a 4-10 combo. Good evening. That's another on YouTube. Well, we've got 8 on YouTube. So 2 racks all, 7 ball in on the break, but no shot on the one. Now, inside left of that 1 ball, and hopefully you can find a gap between the 9 and 6 and tuck that cue ball away. That's what he's trying to do, and that will do, because the spin's going to tuck it in behind the 9. That's a good shot. Get distance, and if you're lucky you get cover. Now I noticed that Shooter's Pool have got another new room. I don't know how Shooter's Pool do it, but they seem to be able to construct rooms every second week. They're going to have a new carom billiard room, and Virtual Pool 4's had, well, it's had the same rooms for umpteen years. It looks quite sharp and clean. I've seen the pictures on Facebook. Meanwhile, we wait in good faith to see if anything's ever going to happen with Virtual Pool 4. So, ball in hand to Keith, but the table, well, the first shot, the first awkward one, is getting on the 2. He's got ball in hand and an angle to get across, plenty of room on the right hand side, just got to go far enough. But, well, I don't know what the hell he tried there, but that is another baffling shot, because to me all he had to do was come over to the right hand side for the 2. The 9 must have moved, because the 2 went. I'm sure it went. I wish I had the replay to have a look at that again. Well, that's where I thought Keith was going to be 2 seconds ago, just over there. Well, I'm wondering what Semi-Pro's thinking here. He hasn't called anything, so the assumption is he's going to cut the 2 and run up the table. Yep, that's the idea, and that's a good shot. I think Whit was in. Has Whit been in yet? I don't know. I haven't seen him. He'll soon wake up and let you know if he is. Yeah, that's an excellent safety by Semi-Pro. Straight out the Tactical Genius handbook, that one. And it was exactly as I called it. Cut it across, run up the table, and tuck that ball behind the covering balls. So he's won the prize. He's got the ball in hand, and the thing is that does that 2-ball go anywhere? No, it doesn't. So Semipro can only play safe again, and might be thinking, well, that's gone entirely wrong, because the 2-ball has been chopped off by the 8 and the 10, and it's left on for Keith. So that's a bad mistake in the safety there. The other problem ball again is that 6-ball. It's a question of whether he just wants to baby this 5 in and try and drop it into the left middle, because the 9-ball is a hindrance to try and take it long. So this isn't decided yet, this rack. This 6-ball's the problem. Now where the cue ball sat right now, that's fine, but it's a question of where it's going to be in a second or two. If he skims past it, well, the little nudge will do very nicely indeed. That's a little bit of luck that you need. A little brush in a 6, just bringing it into play. But like last night's match, we're just waiting on that first break, that first player that's going to get that 2-rack advantage. Oh dear, what's going on? Is he going to get the nice kiss? Well, this is awkward just to read that potting angle. These are always tricky. You've got to keep your eye on the cue ball. I think he's drawing off it just to make sure he doesn't scratch. So that was a mistake by Semipro on the safety that cost him. That's a straight rack. But 10-ball has gone in. 10-ball goes in. It keeps Keith at the table. Of course the 10-ball gets respotted. He's looking at the 1, and that 1, well, I don't know whether that goes or not. I mean, look how close that is to touching. Now, I never even looked at the combo. Are we set? Pretty much so. That'll do. That's another bonus. But the gap has now been opened with that 10-ball being set, and it's 4-2 to Keith. Breaking again, ball in the break, 2 balls in the break, 9-ball hanging, shot in the 1. So we've lost the 2 and the 3, and the 4 is wide open. It's just getting round onto it, not running into anything, and it could be a 3-rack gap in a minute or two. I take it the mic volume isn't too loud. Let me just turn this, move this down a wee bit. So 5-9, just a gentle roll in so the 5 doesn't escape. Now the problem is from the 6 to the 7, because if he just gently rolls this 5 to the 9, he doesn't have a lot of room to manoeuvre to leave a good angle in this 6. Well, that's scuppered his chances there straight away, because he didn't want the 2 of them to go in, and now I think he's going to have to bend it round the 8 and call the 6. There's a good chance of this going in. Just a little bit of bend and not too hard, because the spin won't work if you hit it too hard. You have to hit it gentle enough, like that. Well, double kiss has left Semipro the chance. those type of shots, you either get them right or you don't. There's no sort of middle ground. He's travelling far enough. Drop the 7 in. Now the question here is he has to make sure he goes through far enough if he's going to take this 8 ball into the middle, because he wants to have the angle again. And that will do. Just dead weight, drop in. And it was looking like the gap was going to 3. But that combo with the 2 balls there and the 2 of them dropping in was the undoing of Keith that time. And so Semipro back to within 1. Well, that's a good break. And he's got a shot in the 1. And the 7 and 8 have gone. Now, what is the dilemma that Semipro is going to have ahead in this rack? The dilemma is that 5 and 9 ball. And if he gets good on this 3, he could nudge the 5 out the way. But then the problem is whether you're going to end up getting good in the 4. So he's got a few decisions to make here. Do you take the risk and trying to open up that 5 and 9, or do you decide to leave a combo? It'll all depend on how he ends up in this 4 ball, because he certainly can't do anything now. But if he leaves the angle in the 4 and it's straight, then he'll be playing the 5-9 combo, and I think that's what he's decided. Now, where's the 5 ball going to end up? Is that the one at 8 o'clock? Because I'll be at my dinner at that time anyway, I think. Yeah, that's the one in 90 minutes time, isn't it? Oh dear, Semipro is taking his eye off it again. There was nothing to think about there in getting on the 6. It's Duffman2605 is the channel you need to go to on Twitch. Duffman2605. Well, that's a bad mistake by Semipro. And he should have been all square. He knows that he'll be kicking himself. And Keith back to a 2 rack gap. 3 ball going in. An awkward cut on the 1. Awkward because he has to hit it with enough pace for the 1 to go in. And also has to try and still get a shot in the 2. Where's the cue ball going? Well, Semipro, his prayers have been answered in this rack, because he's got his chance to take this one out. Who is he? Christian, I think it is. Is it Christian? K-R-I something or other. Jan. Yeah, something like that. Now, of course, in this situation as well, Semipro's got the problem of getting from the 5 to the 6. I don't think it's worthwhile trying to leave any sort of combo for this 6-9, because it's nowhere near set. So it's got to be trying to, I think he's got enough angle to draw down to the left here over towards that 7 ball to play the pot in the 6. Oh, again, the stun is the one that does it, and he's overhit that by a mile. He hasn't got that shot right at all. He's played it all wrong, because where the cue ball's finished, it needed to be just below the equator, just a tad below the equator and firm, but he's got too much bottom on it, and that's why he's ended up with the cue ball in the corner. And I think he's got away with it. He's got away with it big time as well. Well, both players have had a wee bit of good fortune. Certainly Semipro did there, but that shot that he was playing, yes, it was tough, especially when you have to hit them firm and stun them. If if you hit those jaws, it won't go in, but he actually got the shot wrong. He had far too much bottom on it. You only need, if you're going to hit the ball firm to stun across the table, then you only need a tiny fraction just below that equator. The stun will do the rest. He still hit it with the same pace, but he had the cue tip too far below the equator, in which case he got more of a draw effect, and that's why the cue ball squirted away down into the corner. They're hard to judge right, those shots. It's just always a tiny drop below the equator in the cue ball, just to let that stun work. But Semipro won't be bothered about that. Well, he might be bothered about this, because he's ended up dead straight again. Now, is he going to try risk doing anything? No, just a draw to kill it. Well, this is another tester. Surely got to take it long. Well, no, he's looking to run it into the middle, and he's played it well. So it's back to 5-4. And the 7 has gone into the top left, something into the bottom right. What went in? The 4 has gone, but not a really inviting shot in this one. Okay, thin cuts, but it's certainly not easy. And he could play a half decent safety on this. He's got the cut. Cue ball going to squirt out behind the 10. Well, if they're straight, yes, but I mean, you've got, if you have to move the cue ball anywhere, you've got little room for manoeuvre on those middle pockets at that angle. Well, it's probably going to be the 6-8 combo this time. Yeah, that's the other thing that's the other factor you've got to bring into the equation. When the eyes start going, it doesn't bloody matter what pocket it is. It doesn't matter what one it is. They're all bloody difficult. Well, he can take a risk here if he wants to try and break the 6 and 8, or he can just play for position to leave the combo. It's his choice. He's played the break, and I think it's worked out pretty nice, although it's another little fiddly read into this corner, this middle pocket. And in it goes, and Semipro looking to tie the match up. Look at where that 10 ball is. He needs to land good on the 9 to be able to drop through for the 10, because he doesn't want the cue ball running around to try and get on it, so he can just drop through off this shot and we'll be all square again. Well, any more juice in that, it'd have been square, and then it would have been one of these fiddly ones. But we are all square, 5 racks all. Well, nobody's called a result yet in this match. So that's 2 going for Semi. I think it can go all the way, this one as well. It's got all the potential to do that. And again, if it was going to go all the way, you would favour Keith, but only slightly. Well, there's so many factors involved in this 10 ball. Getting a good break, getting a ball, and actually getting a shot in the next ball, that's the difficulty, and it's all up in the air. You can never predict anything in the layout of the tables once you're broken in these in 10 ball compared to 9 ball. When Virtual Pool 4 was in testing, before it got tweaked, Larry could break in 9 ball and pretty much guarantee the 9 ball was going to go in the top right hand corner every time. And I mean, I watched him do it quite a few times, break the balls a certain way, and the 9 ball would always track towards that top right hand corner pocket, and a lot of the times it would go in. And so that was one reason that Steve looked into changing a few factors on the break, like changing the tilt on the rack and changing the way the ball's actually racked, whether it would be tight or slightly loose. But you could only see that if you actually moved the camera right over the balls and zoomed in close. But it certainly has made a big difference to the game from the early stages of testing, because it was so predictable on the 9 ball break, and he added that factor into 10 ball as well. So you're certainly not going to get similar patterns happening on the breaks in this game. Although it has to be said, you do in snooker. No, it's a legal substance. In snooker, if I break a certain way, 2 reds will always go parallel to one another to the left hand rail and back out, and usually they block one another. And if I get the break right, that then brings the cue ball off the right hand side rail, left hand side rail, bulk end rail, and up behind the green. No, this is legal. I just don't want you children seeing me do it. Well, we've got a 110 combo, but that 10 is too much angle. He's looking to see if he could do anything with it, but it's far too close. Well, I don't think Keith can get the cue ball away too far in this shot. He can try just feathering the 1. You can see that 8 ball's actually a good guide for feathering the edge of the 1 ball, but he'll be lucky if he can get the cue ball far enough up the table. Well, that's a great shot. That's excellent. Using the 5 for cover. Now, can Semi see? Oh, of course he hasn't hit a bloody rail, hasn't he? I forgot about that. Now, well, that would then suggests to me that he hit the one ball coming back off the rail, and nobody noticed that. At least I didn't, until I seen it was ball in hand. Good evening, welcome to all the latecomers, welcome Linus. Oh, we're losing viewers on YouTube. We're down to 7. How many's on Twitch? 10. Oh well. So the 4-9's going to be called, obviously. But where's the 4 ball going to end up? Well, it's hanging over. Now, am I right in saying this possibly, maybe apart from the first rack, I don't even remember who won that, but anyway, it's certainly going to be the first time, if any, that Semipro could be in the lead here. So he just needs to go forward on the 5 and go forward far enough that he can see the 6. Well, forward and around the angles and up the table, give yourself plenty of room to get on the 7. Well, I would have liked to have been up a bit more. This is a little pace test, this one. Why are you concerned about me, Stub? You've never showed any concern for me. I've already lived past the average lifespan of any Scotsman. And so Semipro is going to take the lead, and with the break, and that one's tilted slightly to the left, you can see it. Yeah, most Scotsmen are dead by the time they get to 50, so I'm living in borrowed time. Well, I think that's probably your problem, Stub. Your brain's been addled. You ever heard that phrase? I bet you if they did a CAT scan of your brain, it's just full of big holes, big black areas, dark areas with nothing in it. Oh, we're down to 6 on YouTube. People are getting bored. By the way, guys, I don't beg for subscriptions, but just a word of note: anybody who's going to subscribe, don't subscribe on Twitch. Subscribe on YouTube, because that's the one that I want to get my count up on. I'm not bothered about Twitch, because I don't archive my streams on Twitch. I save them all on YouTube. So I think I'm going up to 410. So my objective is to get to 1,000. So any subscribing, don't do it in Twitch. Even if you don't watch on YouTube, just go to YouTube and subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. Try and get me up to that 1,000. It's going to be a long bloody haul, because it's taken me 7 years to get to 410. So just think of how long it's going to take to get to 1,000. That's a combo, is it? Let's have a look. Well, he's going to have to make it. He's going to have to cut the one. And I don't think you can see enough of the one to do that. The 8 ball's blocking it. Now, is it going to squirt in? No, it won't. But if he could have seen more of that 1 ball, he could have been able to make that. But that isn't the objective. The objective's getting it safe, and it is a good safety. Oh, I had a trip all lined up for Euro truck, no, American truck it was, and it's in a great part of the map, and it was heading to a new part of the map, Chihuahua in Mexico. I started it the other night and I thought it'd have been worth streaming it, but the only problem is it's 3,500 miles and it would have taken at least 4 hours. And I'm afraid in recent weeks I'm in no fit state to last more than a couple of hours. I'm waiting an Alaskan truck driver coming out. So Keith's now trailing, he's the man on the hunt. Oh, Eurotruck's the best, because I'll tell you why. I paid for, and I've got that what's that, on the road, that German one, and there's lots of good things about that on the road that Eurotruck doesn't have. Like, you can get out your cab, you have to go and sign your docket, you have to sign your manifest to pick up the goods. You then back your trailer into the loading bay, and it's a bigger scale map, but it's just Germany. But the way the truck handles, and the fact that you don't have virtual mirrors, which is no good for me because I don't have Tobii eye tracker or anything like that, so I have to physically turn to look at the mirrors, especially the one on my offside, and I don't like that. In Eurotruck you've got virtual mirrors, which is handy for us guys that don't want to get in for all these gizmos and gadgets. But it's the best one for driving, and it's the best one that recognises my old Logitech GT driving force wheel as well. Well, Semipro has the chance to widen the gap, and it's going to have to be a 7-9 combo to keep this run going. No, but the problem with that is the game's been out for 8 years, so it's not very often that updated versions that are on these unscrupulous sites. And plus, the other thing is, what's the point in downloading it when the game itself only costs a few quid? And once you've got the game, I can get you sorted out with map combos, no problem. No, Euro Truck Simulator 2's, I'm sure it was what, 2012 it came out, and it's the mod community that keep it going, as well as the fact that the developers keep bringing out new add-on maps, and every time they bring out add-on maps, the mod makers have to change their maps, so that's why it keeps revolving, and that's why there's so many people play it. Same with American Truck Simulator. It's you know, because it's American Truck Simulator, they bring out new maps and new states, so the next one's going to be Colorado, I think. Good evening. Well, we've got people dropping in all the time, but we've got Semipro with a 2-rack lead, and don't forget in that 9-ball Masters final. No, you can get it a lot cheaper than that. You're not looking in the right places for Euro Truck 2. You can get it for a lot less than that, I can assure you. What was I saying there? Yeah, anybody who didn't see the 9-ball Masters final, you don't get it on Steam, for goodness sake. Listen, any time you're thinking of getting a game, don't buy it on Steam and pay the full price for it. I'll get this out yet. Keith against Cobra. Cobra was 5-0 up in that match, and remember that tournament was alternate break, so you couldn't run racks, you couldn't get into the stride of doing it, but Keith came through in the end, and I think he ended up winning out by 4 racks. So well, there's still a wee bit to go, but he certainly doesn't want the gap to get any bigger, and it probably is in a minute. Yeah, that's mooncake, isn't it? Well, he's running up the table away from the 9. He's trying to draw off the 8 just to hold. Again, played it well. So Semipro is putting the pressure on. It's now a 3-rack lead. Oh, and Keith's coming out with all the excuses. The mouse problem and the monitor problem. But it's a dry break from Semipro. 2-ball hanging. Now, is he going to try and draw into the 2, or is he just trying to lock up this cue ball? Oh, he's going all out for it. Well, I have to say there's quite a few people in Virtual Pool 4 I'd like to forget. Yeah. Is Keith going to step up? He's done it plenty of times before. It's not a crisis yet, but it will be if he can't run this rack. But it's like I said in the 9-ball final against Cobra, this is a time where he really starts to focus and make sure of his shots. You'll see him doing it. He'll slow up a bit and take that little bit more time to make sure he's doing everything right. Now, there's a problem here. Can he brush off that 9? I think he can. In fact, I think he possibly could miss it. I think he's okay. Let's have a closer look. Yeah, he can brush through no problem. I don't think he'll even hit the 9. Well, he's deciding to leave the angle in the 7. I would have preferred to brush through a bit more to make it a more simple shot. Now the 8 goes past the 10, but that is all over the place there. That is nowhere near where he wanted to be in this. and this is really tough. Not only the pot past the 10, but getting on the 9. And that needs to keep going, and he's played that pretty damn well. That is a cracking shot. That is an excellent run out, because he left himself in awful shape there. But he's got himself out of jail, I think, if he can tuck this down the rail. And he's back to within 2. There's the 1 ball going, in it goes, and he's got no shot in the 2. So it's just going to be the push. Oh, I'm down to 6 in YouTube now. Can some of you guys from Twitch move over to YouTube just to make it look a wee bit prettier? Oh, that little kiss on that 8 ball has done very handily there for Semipro. That's got Keith in trouble. Again, in these situations, what do you do? Do you try and genuinely get to the ball, or do you try and just lock something up? I think I'd be trying to just lock something up and make it awkward, because this is difficult to get to. The 8 ball's in the way. There's no line. Well, there might be, but the problem is, in the right hand side, if you try and create an angle by bending it, you'd end up actually probably putting the cue ball straight into that middle pocket. Yeah, that was so difficult. So this is going to be the true test here for Semipro. He's got ball in hand. There might be a possible 5-7 combo, although it's not set, but the 10 ball's in the way, so there is a task ahead here for Semi. Now this is races to 10 on the winner's side, races to 14 on the winner's side and races to 10 on the 1 loss side. Well, this is the one. He's a bit high on this 4 ball. He's going to have to get into the cue ball to try and hold shape for a shot in this 5. He's played it well. Now he's going to have to play a little draw. Needs to get into it enough to make sure he's away from that 10 ball, or if he goes up the table, he's got to find that gap. So decision has to be made. He's going to draw back. Oh, but the draw again, it happens time and time again. As soon as you start digging down in the cue ball, you can squirt the object ball offline into the jaws, and Keith's been given another lifespan here, but he's gone straight. He is stone dead straight in this 7. Needs to miss the 10, which it has done. And then it's all about just judging the pace on this draw up the rail, and he hasn't quite got there. And that 10 ball's in that awkward place where if you can just go too far, you end up square on it. Again, well controlled, well judged. Could have done with another 10 inches up the table, but he'll take that. But that's come about from that miss on the 6 ball by Semipro, and it's back to within 1. Keith breaking off in rack 16. 2 ball is thinking about it, and it's just dropped in, and he's on the 1. And Barker's has had enough. He's left the building. Somebody should have sent him a PM and told him to get on the stream. Well, I think there's signs that Keith is meaning business here, because he's finding his range. He's going to do his damnedest to get out of this problem, and Semi has to be fully aware of that, especially from the unforced errors. So the angle's there, off the rail and up for the 9, and go far enough for it, and that will do very nicely. He's a little stun. He can have the 10 into the middle, a little drop. Well, he hasn't got into it enough though. He's just fallen short, and he's annoyed at that. And this is another one of these awkward tests. And it goes, and it's all square again. Cue ball has scratched, and that 3 ball has just actually probably blocked off the possibility of the 110 combo there. But Semipro is still fancying to kick this in off the rail. Now he's going to call it, but that 3 ball just nudged in as a blocker, but he's still going to kick into the rail with the 1 and push the 10 in. That's the plan. And in it goes, and that is a quick reply. And of course the scratch on the break, well, nothing you can do about that, but it takes Semipro back into the lead. And a ball in the break, 3 balls in the break, and not a great shot in the 1. Now how does this look from his point of view? Well, he can go really thin cut on it, and he's going to run up into the 7 and the 9. He's played a big draw to avoid it, and that is well done. Lots of drag just to spin that cue ball away from the collision. And it might be a quick turnaround here. Semipro looking to get good on this 6. He's going to have to do a wee bit here just to run through far enough again. Got to get down into the corner. well, if he'd went too far, he would have still had a shot. This is a little tester again. Yeah, he's way off the mark on the 6 there, and the pressure is beginning to show. And in these situations over the years, and especially in the last 9-ball tournament, Keith doesn't show much sign of pressure. When it gets to the nitty gritty, he seems to get stronger. It's still anybody's match, this. Oh dear. Well, I put the curse on him there, because he's overcut the 9, and it's a chance that Semi thought had been blown, and he's not going to make the mistake this time. Now, could that be the mistake that might cost Keith his position on this winner's side? Because it's now Semi-Pro into double figures with the 2-rack lead and with the break. Eight ball going in, shot in the 1, but the cue ball's running away. How is he? Oh, he's gone too far. See, those shots are asking an awful lot to hold that cue ball. He could have let it run, but then you're taking a risk of running into stuff. But he's going to try and chip it in though. Yeah, but if it had went in, it would have been a bonus. But he's got the distance, which is all that matters. Reverse bank is on. He's called it, and he knows that if he pots it, he's on the 3. If he doesn't pot it and it hangs up, then it's a gift of a chance for Semi-Pro, and it's come out the pocket, and Semi-Pro is looking at the 2, the 3, and how does he get from the 4 down to the 5 to play the 5-10 combo? Well, that's easily made as a combo any day of the week, but can he get to it? Well, he's going to go bone straight on this. Well, what does he do here? I mean, he can draw down to the middle pocket. Well, he's going to draw into the pocket. Yeah, he tried everything there, but he was just far too straight. So it's the 5-10 combo. So it's back to within 1 again. And the signs of pressure are coming, and that's a scratch in the break again for Keith. That's 2 in a row, and well, Semi-Pro has got to run out here. Everything's on. 4 ball I think's pretty close on the rail, although it's away from it slightly. 5 down the rail. Now, a reminder to anybody who hasn't checked the brackets. We've got the match between Moz and Legit Matthew scheduled for 11 PM my time tonight. There's another match in between which I won't see because I'm going to get food because I am starving. A match between Christian and Niederrad, which is due to start in about 45 minutes time. And another reminder as well to you guys that on Saturday at 2 PM my time we have the match between who the hell is it again, between Cobra and Bedhead. And again, if you can't be there for the stream, then it will always be on YouTube, I can guarantee that. But more important matters, it's Semipro looking to stretch the lead again at the business end of the match, and those two scratches on the break by Keith are going to cost him dear. Having said that, Semipro's found himself behind the 9. He's on the low side and the cue ball's running. Well, he's got to call the bank, and of course in 10 ball you only get one shot at it. It can go up to the right pocket, reverse bank it to the top left pocket. He just has to make the choice, and this is vital. And the reverse bank works every day of the week. But where's the cue ball going? I think he's okay. Cue ball's okay, and the gap is now at 2 again. But the break is dry. There's a cut in the 1, but of course the cue ball's running straight into the 8 ball. I think he's going to have to ride his luck here. If he can try and brush off the left side of that 8 ball, he may well have a cut in the 2. Well, he's brushed too thin and he's went straight into the pocket. He was hoping it'd be thicker than that, and that might be very costly, because it's a ball in hand and a 2-10 combo for 12-9. Well, these unforced errors, there's far too many. There's 3 in the recent racks that have cost Keith, and all of them scratches, and it's 12-9 to Semipro. And the alarm bells are well and truly ringing here for our current 9 ball Masters champion. 5 ball goes in. Something else went in the right middle pocket. That'll be the 7 ball. A little cut in the 1, and he should be out if he gets this. Well, that angle that he's left on this 4 is not healthy. Is he going to try and roll it in dead weight and still leave himself on the 6, or is he going to let it run through? Well, he's managing to hold it, but of course the more that it goes, the further into the table, and this now makes it more difficult to get good on this 8 ball. This is the one that will decide the rack. Need to watch that middle pocket on the right hand side. That's why he's went around the angles, and that'll do very nicely. If he had played the draw to get to that 8 ball, there was a strong likelihood it would have scratched the right middle. And so Semi-Pro moves on to the hill, needing one more. Well, it's asking an awful lot now to dig your way out of this hole. That is a straight rack. Semi-Pro breaking in the rack that he needs to take him through. Nothing doing. How's that shot? And the one goes. And now the point of no return. There can't be any more errors. Everything has to go. Well, you know the saying, Pop Man, it ain't over till it's over. Oh, he's overdone that one big time. Again, when you play that draw, if you play it with the pace and you just go too low in that cue ball, you'll get more zip on it than you thought, and you end up there. Well, where's it going? Well, he's hanging in. Still got to get these 3 though. Still got to get out onto the 9. Oh, I thought he was heading for the pocket. So he's going to save 1 life and get to double figures, but everything has to go now. Has to get a ball, has to get a shot if he can, because if he breaks him like that and leaves it open, Semi-Pro's got his chance, but where the cue ball's finished, he ain't going to be doing much there. Now the 7 ball, let's have a look at that. Well, that's tightish to go past the 8. Push out played. Now Keith can play the push or give it back to Semi-Pro. Now is he going to try and find a way over behind that 7 ball? Try and push the 1 up towards the 6 and 3. No, he's gone all out for the pot. Well, he's made his choice. Not sitting nice in a 2. Now can he hold to get a shot in the 3 though if he pots this? And the bounce has worked. Well, he's just going to come out all guns blazing. He's no other option. That needs to slow up. And the problem with it slowing up is he's obviously threatening to run behind the 7, but he's now dead straight on this 5 ball, and you know what happens with pace if you don't get these clean. And the other problem is he can't do anything with the cue ball to get out and get good on the 6. He may well want to draw back and leave the bank for that 6 ball, and he's looking at the 7 and 8 combo. It's probably going to be an awkward cut in the 6 or the bank on the 6. Well, it's the awkward cut. He's made the decision, and this is the one that could be his last shot in the match if he doesn't get this in. And he's got the pace dead on. Needs to get lucky with the 7 ball though, that it doesn't squirt away, because I don't think it goes past that 10. Well, it does. There is room. Oh, he's played that. Very nice touch. So it's all about getting to the 9. And the boy is trying. Give him his dues. He's trying so hard to stay in this match. Well, I think he thrives in pressure, because he knows that he's backed into a corner. There's no other choice. But something like this was going to happen at some point with a dry break and Semipro having a shot. The shot isn't that great. It's the 1-6 combo if he wants to take the risk. But look at the table. He knows that if he gets this, he'll be unlucky not to still be on the 1, and the run out is on, very much on. But likewise for Semipro, if he doesn't get it, the run out is on for Keith, and he's going to have to make the combo as well. Not difficult. When they're close like that, it's, 9 times out of 10 you get this, no problem. It's just where the 1 ball's going to finish. That you don't really know. But that will do. Well, this is it's interesting to see how Semi's going to react, because obviously Keith now, if he runs out here, is going to be breathing right down his neck, and when Semi does get a chance, is he going to be able to take the match home? Because it is the big test of nerves, and who's going to hold out. Semi right now is waiting and waiting and waiting on this mistake, and so far it hasn't come, but it's come right now. He's overcut the 5, and Semipro should be home and dry. And that's the one he's been waiting on. Well, he's going to have to come off the bottom rail. I don't know whether he can, at that angle he can. No, he's got to come off the bottom rail and just come up the table and leave it wide open in the 8. Well, the further he goes, the straighter he goes, but he's got an angle. but he has to punch this to get the cue ball out far enough. And he's got all the room in the world to get on the 10. So that deficit that Semipro, or that lead that Semipro built up, in the end was just enough, because at 13-9 behind, I think it was just too tall an order, and so Semipro is going to go through by 14 racks to 11. And Keith, well, assuming he's got a monitor in order, hopefully he'll have it for his next match, but he's going to have to do it the hard way. He's going to have to do it from that one loss side, and Semipro will be relieved that he's through. And Keith, well, those scratches and that final miss on that 5 ball is what's undone him, and Semipro marches on. And remember folks, we've got a couple of matches later on. We've got the one starting in 30 minutes time, Christian and Niederrad, and we've got the one between Moz and Legit Matthew at 11 PM tonight. I'll be on, assuming he turns up. Legit Matthew, that is. I should have that match as well. So until then folks, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for your company. Stay safe, stay clear, keep your distance, and I will see you again soon.